I was raised in an alcoholic home, lost my dad when I was 10. So I pretty much spent my teenage years looking for love in all the wrong places, making terrible choices, not feeling loved, unworthy of things. So when I finally graduated from high school, I went to college on a scholarship. I was very excited to start my future. But once I got to college, I repeated the same patterns, started partying all the time. I met a guy one night, ended up having a one-night stand, only to find out that I was pregnant a few weeks later. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. And everyone in my life that I told that I was pregnant told me just to have an abortion. You can have an abortion, you can move on, you don't have to think about it, just do it. And you can go on with your life, you can graduate from school, you can have the future that you wanted. So that's what I did. I remember walking in the clinic and I just felt sick. I knew that it was wrong what I was doing. And I was hoping that someone there would tell me, like, don't do this, like you have other options. That wasn't the case. They almost ushered me through that day like a sheep going to slaughter is all I can really say. It was very cold, no emotion from anyone. I do remember sitting down with the lady and her telling me, like, this will be over quickly. You can go on with you're young. You can go on with your life. And after the procedure, I remember in the room, all the girls that were back there, everyone was so upset and crying. And I thought, if what we did was okay, how come no one's happy? I didn't realize that that choice would change my life so drastically. I went home. I slept for a few hours, but I couldn't stop thinking about what I had done. So I got up, I had a friend call. I got up that night and went out and partied all night, and that began the next 3 to 4 years of my life. Were really just an alcoholic haze. I didn't want to feel anything. I lost my scholarship. I flunked out of college. I was really floundering through life. I hated myself. And it was several years before I walked into a SaveOne class. And God, in His gracious mercy, allowed me to go into that class and be the only person taking the class at the time. And walking through the class with the lady that was teaching it, reliving the experience and talking about it, I really began to realize that, you know what, God had forgiven me a long time ago. And it was time for me to forgive myself. And that's what the class did for me. It really gave me freedom from the shame and the guilt. And it gave me a voice. And I knew that God had delivered me for a reason from that. I didn't want to keep it to myself anymore. If abortion ever came up in conversation, I was always the first one to say, I've had one, and it was the worst decision of my life. So I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for SaveOne. The class, after I went through SaveOne, the restoration was, I could look at myself in the mirror. I didn't hate myself anymore. I began to love myself, and in turn, I was able to be a better wife. And we had had a child by that time. And For the longest time, I didn't feel worthy to be his mom. I had terrible postpartum. It was hard for me to connect with him. And I think it was because I hadn't yet forgiven myself. I didn't feel like I had deserved him. But after SaveOne, I didn't feel that way anymore. I would say that it restored so many things, but it gave me the ability to love myself and to love others the way that God wants me to love them, and to not feel ashamed anymore, and to not carry that burden that I was the only one that he couldn't forgive, because that's what I thought for the longest time, that he could forgive anyone, but he would not forgive me for that. And that is just not true. That's what the enemy wanted me to think. He wanted me to think that if people knew what I had done, that they would look at me differently, but they didn't. When I was finally able to share my story, it was met with love. It was met with compassion. And it just allowed me to grow. It just allowed me to grow and be the person that I know God wanted me to be. If I could give one piece of advice, I would say, if you are suffering in silence from an abortion, you don't have to suffer anymore. Run to a SaveOne class. Run into the presence of people that won't judge you, that will love you and help you walk through that decision, that choice, and process it. Run to the place where you're going to find freedom.
My name is Angie Briley, and I am a truth teller.